left alone in space, then humanity arrived without warning. The star was old and weak, giving off only a dull glow. Its planets were cold, broken, and lifeless. Nothing moved, nothing changed. Time itself seemed tired here. Ilrex had been assigned to this station long ago. So long ago that the memory felt thin and distant, like a story told by someone else. His people had sent him here to watch, to record, and to wait. At the time, it had seemed like an honor. The universe was wide and knowledge mattered. Then the wars came. One by one, the signals from his civilization went silent. Trade routes failed. Communication relays stopped responding. Fleets vanished. At first, Ilrex believed it was temporary. Systems failed all the time. Help would come. It never did. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The station remained. Ilrex remained. He kept the systems running with careful attention. Power levels were adjusted daily. Life support was monitored every hour. Sensors were cleaned and repaired again and again. He followed routines because routines kept him alive. Routines kept him sane. The station creaked and groaned like an old creature. Many systems had failed beyond repair. Others worked only because Ilrex understood them better than their designers ever had. He had learned every sound, every vibration, every small warning sign. He slept little. He ate simple rations that had long since lost flavor. His body had changed over time, adapting to low activity and constant isolation. His mind had changed too. Thoughts became slower, memories blurred, but he did not stop. Every day he recorded the stars. Most days nothing happened. Sometimes distant signals passed through the system, echoes of ancient communications, broken and meaningless. Ilrex logged them all, even though he knew no one would ever read the records. Hope was a habit he could not fully break. On one quiet cycle, Ilrex sat at the main console and reviewed old logs. He did this often, reading words written by beings who no longer existed. Commanders, scientists, friends, names that meant nothing now. He paused at a message from long ago. It was from the council, short and clear. Maintain station. Observe. Wait. He closed the file. Waiting was easy when there was something to wait for. Waiting became harder when there was nothing. The sensors hummed softly. The station's artificial gravity held steady. Outside, the dead star gave off its weak light. Ilrex marked the passage of time by system cycles, though the numbers had lost meaning. Then, without warning, the station shook. It was not a failure, not a slow decay or structural collapse. It was sudden, violent. Alarms screamed to life. Ilrex stumbled as lights flashed red across the control room. Systems that had been quiet for centuries activated all at once. Power surged through conduits that had not carried full load in generations. His heart raced. His hands moved on instinct. "Status report," he said aloud, though no one was there to answer. The sensors flooded his displays with data, gravity distortions, energy spikes. Space itself was bending. Ilrex stared at the readings in disbelief. Something was coming. He turned toward the observation window just as space tore open. It was not a gate like those built by ancient civilizations. It was raw and violent, like reality being forced apart. Bright white light spilled into the system, harsh and unstable. Radiation levels spiked. From the tier, a massive shape emerged. A ship. It burst into real space with a thunderous shockwave. Engines flared wildly as it fought to stabilize. The hull glowed from heat and stress. The ship drifted, corrected, then steadied. Ilrex's breath caught. Before he could process it, another tier opened. Then another. 5 ships forced their way into the system, each arrival loud and chaotic. Space trembled under the strain. The station's shields flared weakly as shockwaves washed over it. Ilrex held onto the console as the station shook. Fear surged through him, sharp and sudden. He had prepared for failure. He had prepared for death. He had not prepared for visitors. The ships were unlike anything he had seen. Their shapes were uneven, their designs rough and unbalanced. Armor plates were layered thick, bolted on without elegance. Antennae and sensors extended in all directions. They were ugly, but they were powerful. Their energy output rivaled ancient war fleets. Shields shifted and adapted as radiation washed over them. The ships spoke to each other in bursts of communication, fast and constant. They were alive. The largest ship slowly turned. Its sensors swept the system, scanning planets, debris, and finally locking onto the station. Ilrex felt the scan pass through the hull. It was deep and detailed, mapping structure and power levels. Then it focused tighter, on him. Life signs confirmed. Ilrex waited for weapons fire or silence or another scan. Instead, a message arrived. The signal slammed into the station's receivers, strong and messy. It was inefficient but overwhelming, forcing its way through ancient systems. Ilrex's translator struggled, then stabilized. Sound filled the control room. Unknown station, this is human exploration vessel Frontier Dawn. We are detecting active life signs aboard your structure. Please respond. The word carried no meaning. No records, no warnings, no history, a new species. His hands trembled as he activated the transmitter. It crackled, unused for so long. "This is Station Ilrex 9, he said slowly. His voice sounded strange in the empty room. "I am Ilrex, sole operator. Identify intentions." Overlapping, excited, confused. Then one voice came through clearly. "Station Ilrex 9, this is Captain Alex Morgan. We are human explorers. We detected an old signal and followed it. Are you in need of assistance?" "Copy that," Morgan said. "You're not alone anymore, we're here. Just crew and engineers. We want to stabilize your station and make sure you're safe. Do you consent?" "I consent." The station trembled, then steadied. Ilrex moved toward the airlock, his steps slow and careful. His body felt weak, unused to movement. The corridor lights flickered but held. The inner door opened. 3 humans stood there. They were smaller than he expected, softer. Their suits were scarred and patched, clearly repaired many times. Their posture was relaxed but alert. One of them removed her helmet. She had short, dark hair and tired eyes. "Hi," she said gently. "I'm Lisa. We're here to help." Ilrex watched the darkness from the main window of the station. The stars barely moved. The dead system gave off no warmth, no color, no sound. It was a place forgotten by time. For centuries, nothing had changed. Then the sensors screamed. The sound tore through the station, sharp and sudden. Ilrex froze. Alarms had not activated in over 200 years. The station lights flickered as power rushed to long unused systems. Readings flooded the main display. Energy spikes, gravity distortions, space folding in on itself. Ilrex's first thought was failure. Maybe the station had finally broken. Maybe this was the end. Then space tore open. A line of white light appeared where nothing should exist. It twisted and widened like a wound in reality. Radiation poured out in violent waves. Ilrex had seen jump gates before, ancient and precise, built by careful hands. This was not careful. The tier snapped wider and something forced its way through. A ship emerged. It was large, uneven, and loud. Its hull burned with heat as space snapped back into place behind it. Engines roared, struggling to stabilize. The ship drifted, corrected, then drifted again. More tiers followed. Another ship appeared, then another. 5 ships in total burst into the system, each arrival violent and unstable. Space shook. Sensors overloaded. Ilrex staggered back as the station groaned. These were not ancient empires. These were something else. The ships were ugly by galactic standards. Thick armor plates were bolted on without symmetry. Antennae jutted out at odd angles. Engine trails burned bright blue, leaking energy like open wounds. And yet they were powerful. Their reactors pushed levels that rivaled old war fleets. Their shields flared and adapted in real time, shifting patterns as radiation washed over them. The ships talked to each other constantly, firing signals in every direction. Chaotic, noisy, alive. Ilrex felt fear crawl through him. He had been alone so long that the idea of visitors felt unreal. Visitors who arrived like a storm. The largest ship turned slowly. Sensors swept the system, then locked onto the station. Ilrex's station. A signal struck the hull, not a weapon, a scan. Detailed and deep, it probed life signs, structure, power levels. Ilrex expected another scan to follow, then silence. Instead, a message arrived. The signal was rough, compressed too fast, and filled with redundant layers. It was badly designed by advanced standards, but it was strong. It forced its way through the station's failing receivers. The translator system struggled, then stabilized. Sound filled the control room. "Unknown station, this is human exploration vessel Frontier Dawn. We detect active life signs. Repeat, active life signs. Please respond." "This is Station Ilrex 9, he said slowly. "I am Ilrex, sole remaining operator. Identify intentions." "Are you alone?" Weapons powered down but ready. More scans followed, focused on structural damage. Inside the human flagship, officers crowded the bridge. Lisa Brown leaned over a console, eyes wide. "Captain, this station is barely holding together. Power systems are ancient. Life support is running on backup loops. Hundreds of years, maybe more. We want to help stabilize your station. Is that acceptable?" For the first time in centuries, something moved with purpose toward him. The shuttle docked with a heavy clang. Magnetic locks engaged. Air seals hissed. The station trembled, then steadied. Ilrex moved to the airlock. His body felt weak, gravity heavier than he remembered. He leaned on the wall as the pressure equalized. The inner door opened. 3 humans stood on the other side. They were smaller than Ilrex expected, soft-looking, fragile, but their eyes were sharp. The one in front removed her helmet. She had short, dark hair and tired eyes. "Hi," she said gently. "I'm Lisa. We're engineers. Welcome to my station." They talked while they worked, about nothing important, about food, about music, about how far they were from home. Ilrex listened. Humans filled silence without fear. On the bridge of Frontier Dawn, Captain Morgan watched the feed. "Life signs are stabilizing," Eric Hall reported. "Station integrity is holding. Keep the fleet on standby." He removed his helmet and met Ilrex's gaze without fear. "You held on," Morgan said. "Most people wouldn't have." And for the first time since his civilization fell, Ilrex believed the universe might still care. Ilrex watched as the humans moved through his station. It was strange. He had been alone for centuries. Now there were voices, laughter, and the sound of boots on old metal floors. He could feel the life in them, and it was almost painful. He was not used to life like this. Lisa and Ben had taken control of the engineering systems. They moved with purpose, checking each circuit, each tube, each worn panel. Ilrex had maintained the station perfectly, but for a very long time he had only maintained existence. Humans did more than exist. They improved. They fixed. They reshaped what was broken into something stronger. "We need to reroute the main power line," Lisa said, pointing at the console. "It's unstable. If it fails, life support fails too. We find shortcuts." And somehow their recklessness worked. As the engineers worked, Captain Alex Morgan stayed on the bridge of the station. He watched Ilrex move among the consoles, moving slowly, thoughtfully, with a discipline that reminded him of soldiers he had served with. Morgan had seen bravery many times, but Ilrex's kind was different. Quiet, patient, eternal. "Ilrex," Morgan said finally, "tell me about this place. Why are you here alone? Even if hope is empty." Maybe the universe was not done after all. Outside, the human fleet adjusted formation. The 5 ships circled the station like guardian spirits. They were ready for danger, but danger had not come. Yet Ilrex felt that if danger appeared, humans would face it without hesitation. He had never known such courage. While the engineers repaired the station, the humans began to explore. They checked storage compartments, reviewed logs, and even opened old observation decks. Ilrex followed silently, explaining what each system did, how it worked, and why it had been left in such a fragile state. Kate asked him many questions. "How did you survive all this time? You were completely alone. How did you stay sane?" "I recorded, I watched, I maintained the station. Routine is a kind of sanity." They kept moving even when all hope seemed lost. After several hours, the main systems were stable. Lights returned to normal. Life support ran smoothly. The station no longer felt fragile. The humans had restored it to life. Ilrex had maintained it, but they had revived it. "We've done enough for now," Lisa said, wiping her hands. "The station can survive another 100 years with what we've done. It's not perfect, but it works." Yet he had never known companionship like this. For the first time, he felt that leaving might not be betrayal, but something new. "Join you," he repeated. "You mean leave this station? Your knowledge of this system, and others like it. It must be preserved." Humans were messy and imprecise, but their methods worked. Ilrex began to see the logic in chaos. The humans, in turn, learned from Ilrex. They recorded his knowledge of the dead system. The station's sensors, previously limited, were enhanced with human technology. The fleet gained maps of nearby systems, potential resources, and ancient hazards. Ilrex taught them caution, patience, and long-term observation. Humans taught him flexibility, improvisation, and courage. One evening, as the station's observation deck looked over the dead star system, Ilrex and Morgan stood together. The stars were dim and the planets cold, yet humans had brought light into the emptiness. "Why do you keep looking for others?" Ilrex asked. "Why do you risk so much to find strangers?" Humans lived not just to endure, but to reach, to help, to connect. "Then we will go together," he said. "I will help you find those who are lost." Ilrex walked among them, guiding, teaching, learning, and slowly becoming part of their world. Before leaving, he took one last walk through the empty halls. Decades of isolation flashed through his mind. He had recorded everything, but now it was time to live. The station was safe. Humans had brought it back from the brink. He would leave it, but he would carry it in his memory and in his knowledge forever. As they departed, Ilrex watched the dead system shrink behind them. The humans had brought more than life. They had brought movement, purpose, and hope. The fleet moved together, 5 ships circling the station, shielding it like guardians. Shuttles flew between vessels, supplies exchanged, laughter carried through radio waves. Humans were unstoppable. They survived because they refused to quit. Ilrex understood finally. He had survived alone for centuries because of duty. Humans survived because they believed in something more. They believed in each other. The fleet entered hyperspace, leaving the dead star system behind. Ilrex stood beside Captain Morgan on the bridge of Frontier Dawn. The stars blurred, colors shifting, but the fleet moved forward together. "What now?" Ilrex asked. "Now," Morgan said, "we look for others. Anyone who is alive, anyone who waits, we bring them home." He smiled, quietly watching the stars stretch into lines of light. Humans had arrived without warning, chaotic and reckless, but in doing so they had changed everything. And Ilrex knew this was only the beginning. The fleet moved through space, leaving the dead system behind. Ilrex watched from the bridge of Frontier Dawn. The stars stretched into lines of light, and the hum of the engines was steady, reassuring. Humans worked around him, talking, laughing, and checking systems. Their energy was contagious. Ilrex had never seen life move so fast. Captain Alex Morgan stood beside him. "We have signals," Morgan said. "Scattered, faint, but alive. Other stations, other survivors. We need to find them. We always try." It was battered, lights flickering, hull scratched and dented. Life support barely worked. Inside, a single human operator, a woman named Claire, struggled to keep systems alive. She had been alone for years, surviving on stored rations and limited power. She could not repair the main systems. She had given up hope. Then, human ships appeared in orbit, engines bright against the dark. Shuttles descended. Frontier Dawn and the other vessels sent messages, gentle and strong. "You are not alone, we are here." Humans poured in, carrying tools, food, and energy packs. Ben, Lisa, and Kate worked quickly, repairing the failing systems while other crew members distributed rations and medical aid. Within hours, life support was stable. Power returned. The outpost glowed with light for the first time in decades. Ilrex watched from the doorway. Humans did this everywhere. They arrived without warning, bringing hope where none had existed. They did not ask for payment. They did not demand obedience. They simply reached out. "Why do they help everyone?" Claire asked Ilrex, her voice trembling. "Why risk so much?" "That is why they are different." "How many more are out there?" Morgan asked. "Hundreds," Ilrex said. "Maybe thousands. Some may be lost forever, but others are alive, waiting, hoping." But signals flickered. Sensors detected faint life signs, some human, some other species Ilrex had cataloged long ago. The fleet split into smaller groups. Shuttles went to fragile stations. Frontier Dawn and its escorts monitored from a distance, ready to intervene. Humans moved fast. They repaired, rescued, and protected. Every time they found someone, hope spread. Ilrex began to understand the scale. Humans were not just survivors. They were carriers of life, spreading it like fire through frozen space. At one station, the fleet found a small group of humans stranded after a jump failure. Their supplies were low, engines barely functional. The crew of Frontier Dawn and their shuttles worked without pause. They repaired engines, restored life support, and shared food. When the last person was safe, the rescued humans cried, laughed, and hugged. Ilrex had never seen anything like it. Survival alone was different from survival with others. Humans made survival beautiful. Back on Frontier Dawn, Ilrex recorded the events. He documented each station, each rescue, each moment of human courage. Centuries of loneliness had taught him patience and observation, but humans taught him the value of action, of risk, of hope. One day, while traveling through an asteroid field, the fleet encountered an old alien station. It was massive, long abandoned, its halls silent. Ilrex guided shuttles carefully, warning of collapsing floors and failing power conduits. Inside, they found evidence of life once present, now gone. Tools rusted, machines silent, logs decayed. The humans moved through carefully, repairing what they could, documenting the rest. They treated the dead station with respect, leaving nothing to chance. Ilrex realized that humans honored the past while building the future. They did not destroy, they preserved. "We will broadcast this," Lisa said. "We want anyone listening to know help is coming. We want them to hear it and hold on." Humans did not just survive, they reached into the void to touch others. The signal began to transmit, its strength increased, cutting across space. At first faint and distant, then louder, sharper. Ilrex recorded it all, It was the first time in centuries he had sent a message not into emptiness, but into life. "If anyone is alive," Morgan said, "they will hear us. We are coming." The fleet continued. They rescued more outposts, repaired more stations, and revived more life. Humans moved tirelessly, their energy unending. Ilrex learned to keep pace, adapting to their methods, teaching them caution where needed, learning from them in every other way. On one small planet, they found survivors of a colony thought destroyed centuries ago. The humans had endured starvation, storms, and isolation. Frontier Dawn's crew brought supplies, repaired shelters, and gave new life to the struggling colony. Children laughed again. Adults wept with relief. Ilrex watched quietly. He had catalogued many civilizations in his time, but none had survived with such determination. As the fleet prepared to leave, Ilrex and Morgan stood on Frontier Dawn's observation deck. The galaxy stretched before them, dark and infinite, filled with signals, with life, and with hope. "Why do humans survive?" Ilrex asked. "Why do you reach so far?" "Life is too important to leave behind." Signals were detected from multiple systems. Humans split into groups, rescuing, repairing, and reviving. Each success added to their strength, each life saved reinforced their determination. The galaxy slowly became less empty, less silent. At night, Ilrex walked through Frontier Dawn's corridors. Humans slept, ate, and worked, never ceasing their efforts. He had never felt anything like it. Life was messy, loud, and chaotic, but it was alive. Humans were alive, and they made everyone else alive. He looked out the viewport at a dying star, its light dim but still visible. Somewhere beyond it, another station waited, another survivor, another lost soul. Humans would find them, they always did. Ilrex felt a strange peace. He had been alone for centuries. Now he was part of something greater. Humans had arrived without warning, but they had brought purpose, hope, and life to the universe. He would follow them wherever they went, record everything, and learn everything. The fleet moved through the void, unstoppable. The humans did not wait for permission, did not hesitate, and did not quit. Every signal they found, every life they touched, reinforced the truth. Humanity survived because they believed in each other. They thrived because they refused to leave anyone behind. Ilrex recorded a final log for the day. "Humans are reckless, chaotic, and loud. They risk everything for strangers, yet they succeed where all others fail. They do not survive by strength or wisdom alone. They survive because they hope, because they endure, because they will not quit." The galaxy slowly filled with signs of life, laughter, and hope. Ilrex was no longer alone. The universe was no longer silent. Somewhere in the distance, a new signal appeared, faint, broken, but alive. Frontier Dawn turned toward it, engines burning bright, shuttles prepared for departure. The humans moved as one, unstoppable, fearless, and determined. "Let's go," Morgan said. "Someone is waiting,"